Hi, good morning. So today is Friday, and today we have gotten to the end of the story. So let's recap what happens in the middle of the story. Okay, so in the middle of the story, we have Red Knit Cap Girl and White Bunny, and they were delivering the books, right, to the Nook. They wanted to put their books in a dry place, so they put it in the Nook. And then the other animals in the forest saw this, so they wanted to do the same. So we have bear, hedgehog, squirrel, right? They all decided to bring their books to the Nook. Okay? Then something else happens in the middle of the story. There's a sly fox, and he wants to take the books away. But then, you know what? He sees Red Knit Cap Girl working really hard to fix the Nook so that it looks right. So he says, maybe I shouldn't do that. Okay? So then at the end of the story, we finally got into the end. So I'm going to write the word end. And now what happens at the end of the story is that everyone decides to help with the Nook. And we have Beaver, right? And he makes a log and he decides to do a bookshelf for all those books. So here's the bookshelves that Beaver did, right? He used his teeth to gnaw, right, on the log. And then also Owl and Moon saw this, and they said, wow, Red Knit Cap Girl is really working hard to make sure that this Nook looks great. So we're gonna add something to it. And they decided to add a sign, right? So they made a sign that says library, right? And they made it out of log, a piece of log, and then they worked on it and they wrote the word library inside the log, as you can see. And the reason why they did that is because they wanted a nice place for all the forest animals to have books to read, and they call it a library. So a library is a place where you can borrow books and you can share books and you can read books. So each character did their part to help, right, with the library Nook. Finally, the sly fox, you know what? He feels bad about all this. So he actually returns the book back and winks, right? He gives Red Knit Cap Girl a little wink, and he just returns it, and he did the right thing. So now at the end of the story, what I want you to notice is that there was a library sign, right? So it says it's a library sign, okay? And that sign was created by the owl and the moon, and they created that library sign so that everyone who came inside the Nook would see the label that says library, and they know this is a place where they could borrow books and share and even read books, which is what happens. And we have the bookshelf, right? And the character that created the bookshelf was the beaver. So I'm going to label this bookshelf, right? And the bookshelf is to keep all the books neatly, right? And also, if someone wants to borrow it, they can quickly locate it in a bookshelf, right? It's kind of neat and not all over the place. So that was a really good idea by Beaver. So now we have some new characters who have joined and are reading in the library. So I wanted you to label those characters, so I'll do it with you. These two are sheep, and the sheep, right, they are reading the books, right? And then we also have the duck. So I'm gonna label this, I'll label it here duck, right, the CK at the end. We have bear, right, which we saw in the middle of the story as well. So bear is here, but now he's actually reading a book in the Nook. So I'm gonna label it bear. And finally, we have deer, and deer, he is getting a book from the bookshelf. Okay, so this is deer. Okay, so what happens at the end of the story is that all the forest animals come together and each play a part in bringing books, sharing their books, reading their books, and the way they know that this is a library is that Owl and Moon created a sign that says library sign, so that anyone who comes into the forest inside this nook knows that this is a library. And a library is a place where you can borrow and share books. And we also have Beaver, who did a bookshelf, right? He did this bookshelf so that all the books would be in order, and it makes it easier for all the forest animals to look at a book, pick it out, and read it. And we also have other forest animals that were added that were not in the beginning of the story and were not in the middle of the story. So other new characters that were at the end was sheep, right? So the sheep came together and they brought a book. Then we also have deer, and deer went to the bookshelf and he was reading a book. And finally we have duck, right? And duck was reading a book. So Red Cap Girl, she really enjoys books, and what she decided to do at the end is that she read the book to all her friends. And now, right, they have something called like a book club, where they're going to enjoy all the books that they bring. They're going to work together, and they'll probably learn a lot. So this is what happens at the end. For your assignment on Friday, what you have to do is tell me what happens at the end of the story. So you can start with at the end of the story, or you can use the word finally. Yeah, it's up to you. Or at last, and then tell me who are the new characters that were added to the story. You're going to talk about the setting, right? Because now inside the setting, there is a sign that says library sign. There's a bookshelf that was added that was different. And then in 2 to 3 sentences, tell me what happened at the end of the story. So a good sentence starter would be at the end of the story, finally, or in the end. And then you will add those characters, what they are doing, and that will be your assignment for Friday for reading. Okay, you can also look at the YouTube video and look at the end, so maybe you want to add more details. So I hope this helps. Thank you. Bye-bye.